Good afternoon. The structure of my presentation is divided into 4 sections. The first one explains the context where this gamification approach has been applied. Then I will describe the methodology that we have followed in order to design it. In section 3, I will show you some results derived from the implementation. Finally, I will conclude with some remarks and future work. So this work derived from the experience that a group of professors had in the University of Málaga teaching the subject of fundamentals of electrical engineering. This subject belongs to the industrial engineering degree, to the 2nd year. This has been our evolution. We started applying no innovation technique at all, and we saw that there was no interaction among the students, and they seemed very shy to ask questions in public. And for us, the most important concern was that they did not study on a daily basis. They just leave all the study work for the days before the exam, that's all. So we said, okay, we have to overcome this problem, what can we do? We applied a group-based competitive learning approach. And this was our first approximation. A student liked it, the experience, but it relied on the groups. And with a high rate of dropout students, it was difficult to have activities with groups because there were groups with only 1 member at the end of the subject and other groups with 4 members. So a student really felt very discouraged about relying on groups. And we said, okay, the solution is to have an individual approach. And we are going to use some gamification techniques in order to promote their motivation. And this is what we are going to see now. In order to design our approach, we followed the recommendations explained in our reference number 6, which divides the process into 5 steps. The first step consists of analyzing the users and the environment. We have many students in our 2nd year engineering, nearly 300. Many of them have done the course in previous years. And taking into account the age, we concluded that some tools that are already available, like Class2U, are not suitable for them because they are for younger students, we think. And from this data, we see that we have many students, and it's going to be very difficult to coordinate among the groups. The second step is to identify the learning objectives. The subject, well, the concept explained in the subject is divided into three main blocks. It follows an hierarchical structure, so it is very important to manage properly the concept in the basic concept in order to progress in the subject. We wanted with our tool to reinforce this concept. So we use concepts like diode, coils, or alternating current, DC current, things like that in our game. When designing the experiment, we had to decide the game world and the mechanisms. For the game world, we opted for using electric vehicles. Why? Because this is intended for electrical engineering, and electrical vehicles are expected to play an important role in future electrical networks. And we wanted the student to see the utility of managing the concept explained in our game. And as we are going to use concept explained in the game, in the subject, we are going to build a wireless charger for electrical vehicles. considering the mechanism and the rules, as we are going to have many students and we haven't used a gamification technique previously, we decided to use simple mechanisms. In fact, what we do is just announce during the classes that a Tesla activity is about to start. Then we give the student 10 minutes to solve theoretical problems. And then students who answer correctly and first obtain points. It's a simple mechanism, but it seems that it works. In particular, we are giving them, for the first student, we give them 3 points, the second one 2 points, the third one 1 point, and the fourth one just half a point. And when using the gamification elements, we decided to use levels and a leaderboard. Concerning the levels, this is the scheme of a wireless charger. This is what they are going to build in an imaginary world. The components of the wireless charger are associated to different levels. We have 4 levels, and progressing in the levels means that they are going to use more complex elements. So the first element that they are going to obtain are the ones that are explained first in the subject. And in order to be promoted from one level to another, they need to get points answering the questions that we have said. We have also related getting a level to obtaining additional points in their final marks. We wanted them to be more motivated. And as I said, we also use a leaderboard. This is public in our learning management system, and they can see all the rankings for all the groups. Concerning the implementation, we started showing them a very attractive video about the importance of electric vehicles and wireless charge for future components. And we tested just in this course, in the first semester of this course, and in order to evaluate the approach, we have used 3 mechanisms: informal interviews, a survey, and we have analyzed the final marks. With the informal interviews, we decided, we concluded that there was a positive feedback from the student. They seemed that they like the experience. But there are some problems in our approach. This is the questionnaire that we have, well, the results of the questionnaire. We have 8 items in the questionnaire. And we see that the initial motivation, this is how they received the idea of participating in the game, was high, but the motivation decreased throughout the semester. Obtaining a different level, progressing in the game, was encouraging for them, and also having a public leaderboard. Concerning the complexity of the activities that we proposed to them, they considered that it was so-so, but they prefer to have more tests. Obviously, more tests means more points, so they were happy with that. In this item, we asked them if doing this activity helped them to understand concepts explained in the classrooms. And they said, most of them, that yes. But they say, okay, I understood them, but it didn't help me too much to do my exam, to pass it. This is the reality. Anyway, they recommended us to continue with this experience for the following years. So we need to do some adjustment, yes, we know that. And another way to know the effectivity of our mechanism is analyzing the final marks. The truth is that the percentage of a student who passed the subject is nearly the same. But we detected that a higher percentage of students passed the exam by means of the partial test. That was nearly 20% of them passed them in this way. That means that we did get that they study on a more continuous way. We were happy about that. As conclusions and future work, we think that the gamification approach was well perceived by the students, but we have identified some shortcomings that we should overcome in our next implementation. The first one is that we saw that the motivation decreased throughout the semester, and we think this is because nearly always the same students, the best one, answer the question. So the rest of the students think, oh, I'm not going to try to solve it. This and this and this are going to get the point. Why should I do that? The point. There is another group of students who think that doing this kind of activity in the classroom was useless. Why? Because they have no idea about what they have been asked. Maybe they go to the classroom one per month or one every 2 weeks, and they don't do a continuous study of the subject. They cannot solve the problem, and they have to be like this for 10 minutes. So for them, it's also useless. But those who benefited from the experience had a better learning process and could pass the subject with the partial test. So as future work, what we want to do is to avoid these two main problems that we have. And to do so, we think that doing it on an online platform will help students, even if they are not well prepared, but they can study there without waiting for others. We are not going to use extrinsic motivation, giving them additional points in the final marks, but intrinsic motivation. We want to show them that solving these simple exercises will help them to do their exams in a better way. And we want to integrate the gamification tool with our learning management system using visible badges and components like that. This is all. Thank you very much.